I have a dream.
It's one small step for man.
I am the greatest.
You want something, go get it. Period.
What's up, my fellow dreamers, doers, achievers? This is episode number 12 of the Dream Big & Co. podcast. And yes, you heard that right. I did say Dream Big & Co. And that is a perfect leeway into what I want to talk about, which is just like nature, just like we always preach, we are always changing, improving, and adapting our entire brand, our entire model and company. This is Dream Big & Co., not Dream Big specifically anymore. It'll be more important for us to have that base as Dream Big & Co. as we move forward and do other things. But from there, I will end it, and I will transition into the quote we have for today's episode, which is by Tony Robbins, in which he said, "Stay committed to your decision, but stay flexible in your approach." And it's funny because that quote applies perfectly to what I just said in the intro and what we are always doing at Dream Big & Co. And from there, I want to talk about our guest today. I will say his name right off the bat, Fidel Boamah. Yes, in episode 7, we did have him on as a guest, and he said some amazing things. He talked about his story. He was very vulnerable, and a lot of people responded to it greatly. So because of that, we are going to have him on for a part 2. And just like the first one, he said some great things, and we touched on many topics, and it might fluctuate up and down, but overall, there's going to be an underlying theme, and hopefully you can pick it out and get something important from that. But if you don't remember Fidel at all from the previous episode or don't know of him, I'll play a quick clip here to remind you and show you of who he is.
That is where the greatness is. It's when, like, you're on stage shaking, but you're still saying whatever you have to say.
Yeah.
That's where the greatness is, and that's where the beauty is. And the beauty is not in the final product. It's not in your six-pack. It's not in, like, people saying, that was a really good speech. Yeah. It's actually in the struggle. Exactly. And most people don't see that. And that's when you feel the best. You feel the best when, you felt the worst.
And that's Fidel. That's who you'll be listening to in this episode number 12. One more thing before we get into this episode, I want to talk about our sponsors, Tech Roots Academy and Stu United. This episode is sponsored by and brought to you by Tech Roots Academy. Tech Roots is a fabulous company that goes to schools, libraries, and conducts camps in which they teach young kids the basics of computer programming. They already have 65 locations and have helped 3,000 plus students in only 2 years. The founder saw a lack of education in computer programming within the educational system, so they're filling that gap and solving that problem by educating children as much as possible and making sure those skills are rooted in them throughout their lives. You can find Tech Roots Academy at techrootsacademy.com and on social media at tech_roots. As the world is changing and evolving, coding is becoming so important and is just like another subject matter that should be taught to students at a young age. So they're doing a great job with that, and they're ahead of the curve. And also, this episode is sponsored and brought to you by Stu United. This app is for students seeking to be matched and connected based on their academic skill sets. Struggling in English but good in math? Stu United will provide you with a card stack of other users to swipe on. Swipe right on students that complement your skills and find your StuMate today. You can find Stu United on the App Store, Android is coming soon, on social media at Stu United App, and even check out their new improved website at www.stuunitedapp.com. Enjoy the episode, and I'll see you at the end. So we're back again for another interview, another episode, and as you know, we have Fidel on, and last time we talked, it was a couple months ago, but it's good to have you back on, see where things are progressing, see how the whole year went, being alone, being in this great city, and, how are you feeling now that everything's, coming to an end? I know, summer is coming, but how you feel with, things you've progressed on and improved on?
Yeah, I think it's really great, and it's nice to be finally back on this show. Um, Staying in Philadelphia and just staying here for school, and it's really helped me reflect and learn a lot about myself in terms of how well I can take care of myself, how disciplined I am, how easily I can relate to people, that kind of thing. So I think it's really important for people to sit down and reflect and really think about what it is that they're doing with their lives and if they're getting where they want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And if you can pinpoint like 3 things that you really want to improve on, because for me, I like really realized 3 things I need to focus on going forward in my life.
Yeah.
Because they're like a major like weakness for me, and
Right.
they limit opportunities that I could have. I know you talked about in the last episode
Mm-hmm.
like opportunities with the Code Fest, but what are those 3 things that you want to hit on?
I would say discipline is number 1. Discipline is so important for everyone. I mean, it's the gap between where you are right now and where you want to be. You just need to sit down and do the work, regardless of how you're feeling. Discipline is what's going to get you there. And another thing for me is principles, which is really close to discipline, but it basically allows me to filter. It allows me to make choices. So I know that because of these sets of principles, I can do this kind of thing. I won't let myself do that kind of thing because of, say, the integrity I have or the respect I have for my principles. So first being discipline, second principles, and the third one is happiness. Like, we all need to be happy. And I think if you're going through life working 24/7 and you can't even take a break, you can't laugh, you can't go out to the movies, go out clubbing, I don't think you're being fair to yourself. And yeah, so we all need to be happy, and we need to enjoy the process of getting where we want to get to. So those are the 3 things: discipline, principles, happiness.
Yeah, and I can definitely have a similarity in that, because I feel like at times I would not balance out the scale correctly, and I would like focus way too much on one thing,
yeah.
and then everything else would be ruined. And that was one of my like catharsis moments this entire year, is like finding that middle, and like with everything I do, life, business, family, just anything it is. And I think that's so important, just as we go through life. It's just a constant like finding that middle. Like even when you're talking, you don't want to talk too much.
Yeah.
People will just tune you out. You don't want to talk too little. You want to have your voice be heard. You have to find that middle with everything.
Yeah, and I think that's a really difficult thing to do. So it makes sense that we are always striving to find that middle ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're always improving on those things as we go. And then I agree with like having the set guidelines. I know you said you read Principles. How are you still reading that now?
Still reading it. I don't want to rush through it. I want
Yeah.
to get as much as I can from the book, but it's an amazing read. I think everyone should read it. And Ray Dalio is the kind of guy that hates to lose, and he wants to minimize risk as much as he can. So one of the things he does is to computerize some of his decision making, and it's really amazing how much risk he's able to cut down because of that. And that's why he's one of the wealthiest people in the world today. And yeah, it's something people should consider reading, because it could really help you change your perspective on life and things like that. Yeah.
So he has like the set principles, and then he like with those things he can push the limits even more.
Yeah.
You're saying he can. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely gotta get that book and start reading that this
Amazing
summer.
guy. Amazing.
And then one other thing I wanted to touch on as well is when I was younger, I would have like a list of things to do and like things to accomplish throughout my day.
Yeah.
But now that I'm getting older, my days are packed, very busy. I have a lot to do. So I think now it's more of finding the things I don't need to do, or things I don't have to do, to optimize the
time
things I have. Yeah, exactly.
That's true. I also realize anytime I put down a list of things to do, I end up doing like 2 or 3 out of like 10. And that's also because I haven't studied myself and I don't know how much time this task is going to take or how much effort. And so I expect myself to be doing more when in actual fact I can only use so much energy to do these 3 things. So I think another thing when it comes to like making lists for yourself is really understanding the kind of person you are and the amount of work you can do in a given day, right? And then you can make your list according to that. And at the end of the day, I bet you're going to feel more accomplished because you set out to do 3 things and you accomplish those 3 things rather than saying you're going to do 10 and then being able to do 2 or 3. So that's key too.
Yeah, I totally agree. And how do you feel you've been progressing with being persistent with the goals you have or the things you want to work on? 'Cause I know we talked about that last time as well.
Yeah, I always keep telling Anthony that I know I want to brag. It may sound like I'm bragging, but I know
he's humble.
I know how to I know what I need to do to get where I want to get to. And I know the things that are going to help me to get there. But it's always the case that somewhere along the line, I'm going to fall down and then, just stay where I am. And I spoke to Anthony one time and I told him that, I'm always saying that, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I start doing it, but then somewhere along the line I just stop. So, I'm sick and tired of having to do that and then stopping and never really achieving my goals. And one thing I realize is that we're all human, and so we are bound to fall somewhere along the line, which is perfectly normal. It's okay if we fall down, and it's okay if we feel like, we haven't yet reached where we're going to reach. But the main issue is that you need to stay on track. If you fall down, realize you've fallen down, but pick yourself up and then keep going. Because if you don't, you're always going to feel like you're not making progress, but you are. Even though it feels like, you just hit a huge roadblock. And another thing that helps with that is to take notes, like record yourself, progress reports, I think.
Yeah. And
then, reflect on it when you're down. Look at how much you've done, and then look at how much, you have left to do. And if it feels like you've done so much already, there's no point in you giving up now. So I think that's also key. So those are a few of the things that I've put into practice, and I think it's been really helpful so far. I also set out to write a list of goals that I wanted to achieve before the term ends, and I don't say I've achieved all of them, but I have made significant progress, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah. And I think that's so important, finding that line where you can be ambitious and you can accomplish a lot of things, but it comes to a point where if you're getting stressed out that you're not achieving everything, you need to take a step back, realize how far you've came, and be patient with the process.
Exactly.
That's part of the process too, realizing that you need to stop and take a mental break. That's all part of the journey.
Yeah, I also think when it comes to your goals, people aren't patient enough. It should take a long time for you to get where you want to get to.
Just with money, it's a long-term investment. You have to make a long-term investment with your life as well. Nothing. It's just crazy. Nothing comes easy. It's never short-term, and it's crazy how many people want it to come short-term. It's this simple formula, this simple blueprint, but you get so wrapped up in all the urges, all the temptations, all the distractions, and then it veers you off path. Like what you were saying, you have to stay focused, stay on path, and go where you need to go. But then the one thing I wanted to touch on as well is you're very humble, but you have an overwhelming feeling that you'll be great in a sense. Yeah. And that's not being cocky at all. It's just being confident and knowing that all the work you're going to put in is going to pay off in the end. Yeah.
I think everyone should feel that way. I think everyone should know deep down that they have the ability to achieve greatness. And just be proud of that.
Like you said, we're all human, and sometimes people undervalue their actual worth.
Yeah.
But you got to learn to appreciate who you are even more and embrace your story,
Mm-hmm.
you know, who you are. And do you think people should focus more on their strengths and like double down on that, or sometimes work on their weaknesses as well?
I think you have to balance that out, because when you're starting out, I think it makes sense to play on your strengths, and that way you feel confident. You know that this is the stuff that I'm really good at, so I can do this. But as time goes on, you need to look at your weaknesses and then grow those too, because you can't place all your eggs in one basket. You need to be diverse, and I think part of growing is really understanding that you're weak in this place and that you need to put some effort in there to grow as a person, because you can't just do, it's like working out, you know. You can, let's say you can do 50 bench presses, but you can't do 10 curls. That's like, you know, you put all the energy in your chest, but your arms are weak. So for the full experience, for your full body to develop, you need to work in every part, and you need to take that step by step. So start where you know you can accomplish. Once you feel good in that area, move to some other place where you're not so great, and then, you know, work towards being great there. It's just step by step. Don't rush it.
That same thing applies to how we were talking about balance and finding that middle. It's just like working on your strengths, but also working on your weaknesses, and having that like full, like roundabout person that you want to become.
Exactly.
At this point, Fidel and I transitioned into a conversation about money, and here's the conversation that followed.
How do you feel? How important is money to you on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would say money is necessary to survive. Money is important to go through your daily activities, and I do want to get to a point where I reach financial freedom and I can pay back my parents for all they've done for me. But I don't think people should get wrapped up in the material object of it, because it truly does. I know it's cliche. People say money won't bring you happiness, but it truly doesn't bring you happiness. In the end, if you're laying down in your deathbed, you have nothing, you can't move, you're basically paralyzed in a sense. You can't move, you're in bed, the clock is ticking down till you go to the almighty place, whatever it is, and all you have around you is your family. You don't have like objects, you don't have a watch on you. Your house doesn't mean anything. You're not in your house, you're in the hospital. So all you truly have is your family and friends. So at the end of the day, I mean, money is important to survive, but the most important thing is the people around you, the relationships you have, and your family and friends. Yeah.
I agree.
What would you say in reciprocating that? What does money mean to you?
I mean, I agree with what you're saying, 100%. But I feel like a lot of times people don't give money the respect that money deserves. Money isn't happiness. It's not happiness, but money can get you some sort of happiness. And I think it's impossible to live life without any form of money. Like, you need money to be comfortable. And so people need to start realizing at an early age that I need to start, you know, putting some money down for the future, because my parents are always going to supply me with money. What if I don't get a job? How am I going to live then? Like, these are questions that we all need to sit down and begin to reflect on, because we are growing and we are becoming adults, and being a 30-year-old without any money is terrible.
Yeah, and just as much as money is power, knowledge is power as well.
Exactly.
So if you can learn how to save, how to invest, how to do all those things, I wish I can go back in time and have someone give me the guidelines, the rules, and like the playbook to investing and saving money, because I realize now how important it is. And if I can have the ability to teach a younger kid the importance of that, I mean, it's just like tenfold.
Yeah.
Just the value of putting a little bit of money away, and then over time, when in like 5-10 years, you'll be amazed how much you really have at that time.
Yeah.
And then also teaching the value of investing. What have you done with like improving your knowledge on investing? What do you think about investing in general?
I think investing is number one. Like, everyone needs to do it. But I started looking at forex trading. I've started looking at cryptocurrencies. I've started looking at, just putting money away from if I get money anytime, I just put like 20-30% of it down, not touch it, and things like that, and
yeah, a lot of the time people, they get money and they put 80% or 60% into spending, and then 40% to saving to put away. You have to be the opposite and put saving and investing as a priority first.
Yeah.
Put 60-80% of that aside, and then spend the rest on what you truly want to spend it on.
Yeah.
It's much more important.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And the same thing goes with investing. I mean, you have to make a long-term investment into certain
You need to risk
sectors and stocks. Yeah, you can't focus on the short term. It's crazy how simple it is, but people like I said again, it's just they succumb to all the people around them, all the things they see, and all the get rich quick things.
Yeah. If I told you every day for, let's say, a year, just 1 year, every day just come here, sit down for 10 seconds and then leave, and after that you get $1 million. I tell you, 99% of people wouldn't be able to come here, sit down 10 seconds for a year.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how impatient we become.
That's a perfect analogy of it.
Maybe 1 year is too much. Even a month would be tough. So it depends on you, man. It depends on how much you want it and how much effort and time you're willing to invest. It's all up to you. You're the only person holding yourself back.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just you.
That's so true.
You and you alone.
Patience, man. Patience is one of the main points I want to cripple and control and make my ultimate son. Yeah, but
it's key, man. It's key.
And that's the entire journey, man. Just patience, knowing it'll come, and you just put in all the work. I mean, you should enjoy the time you put in, and like the analogy you said, you should enjoy the 10 seconds to sit down, reflect a little bit, take some time to yourself, and then go on with your day. I mean, if you don't have 10 seconds, I know there's one quote, it's like, if you don't have 10 minutes, you don't have a life, but you don't have 10 seconds. It's just so simple.
Yeah.
You just get wrapped up in the unimportant things. And it's like you said, it's finding that flashlight so you can go back on track in a world that sometimes may seem dismal and may seem dark.
Yeah.
But you gotta find that light in everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to interrupt one more time because here I just want to state that we transition the conversation from money and discipline in that field into a topic of technology and the power we have today with reaching out to people we could have never ever talked to before, and the possibilities that ensue because of these amazing technological advancements we have today.
So I think the internet is a really powerful tool that a lot of people are underestimating. If you think about the resources that have been made available to us, it's mind-blowing how much we can learn and how much we can do with the internet alone. It's so easy to make a website now. It's so easy to just go on YouTube and learn about forex trading. It's so easy to learn how to make a jacket or a shoe or design a poster or do this or do that. So I think right now we're at the point where knowledge is not scarce, and it's up to us to really just plow through the internet and find what it is that we're looking for and then sit down and learn how to do it. Because right now, I think the world is moving towards a place where working a 9 to 5 is not going to be enough. I think there's so many side hustles out there right now. There's so many people doing so many different things, and for you to say that you're just gonna learn hard in school and then get a job and you'll be fine, it's probably not the best. Look at artificial intelligence taking away most of the jobs. Look at there's so much stuff going on. So
you need to really branch off into other things and learn other things. I don't think anyone has the right to complain about anything nowadays. There's so much at our disposal, so much for us to learn, and if you're not willing to put in a little bit of time to watch a video, to read an article, to just do it consistently every day, I mean,
that's on you, man.
How lazy can you be? Yeah, exactly.
It's really up to you.
You're your worst enemy.
Exactly.
You really can't limit yourself in that sense.
If you want to be happier, you could literally just Google how to be happier, and they will give you steps. And if you follow those steps, you will end up being happier. If there's a girl that you like, you could just Google how to get girls, and you will learn how to get girls. All the resources are there. All the skills you want to learn are there. They will teach you. You just have to sit down and learn. And it goes back to being disciplined. It goes back to having those principles. And it goes back to you wanting to be happy. Because being disciplined and having those principles in the long run are supposed to make you happy. So it's really up to you. Are you willing to make the sacrifice and reap the benefits later on? Or do you just want to enjoy the little you can enjoy right now and then forgo the millions of dollars, for example, or the millions of laughs you could have in the end? So.
And what is one thing or any piece of advice you would give to anyone who's lacking some type of self-discipline or any discipline in general that maybe you have used or you have seen?
Yeah.
That you can touch on.
Yeah. So, I was very lazy, but I read something somewhere and it said you need to start small. Start really, really small. So if it means when you wake up in the morning, you're gonna lay your bed, just lay your bed. That's all it takes. And once you've done that for like a month, you feel like you're in control. That when you wake up and you said you're going to lay your bed, you actually did it. Just that little exercise you did will give your mind that reinforcement that you're in control. And so you can move on to the next thing, and you can say like every morning I'm going to do like 10 push-ups, just 10. I don't want to do 20, I don't want to do 30, just 10 every day. And if you stick to doing 10, you're building your discipline because you said you were going to do 10 and you did 10. And then it just takes off from there. You can keep giving yourself harder things to do, but just make sure that they are not too hard that you can't achieve them, and you'll become disciplined. I think it's the same with every other thing.
Yeah.
With your body, with your mind, just start small. Start small.
Yeah, and I can even say from personal experience, I love to look long term. I love to dream big, as we are, but the most important thing in that entire process is having those short-term goals, even planning things down to the minute if it is. Just making sure you don't get too ahead of yourself and too wrapped up in things that could happen and things that you're imagining in your mind that aren't even occurring in your life.
Yeah.
And take the time to really nail down on the daily activities and improving 100% on every little thing, so that if it's, walking in the door in a better way, being happier when you walk in the door, if it's making your breakfast better, if it's making your bed the best possible way you can make your bed, if it's brushing your teeth the best way you can to make them even whiter than they are, whatever it is, making sure the tiniest task is the best it can be will overall make you the complete person you want to become and lead to, like we say with money, compound interest, compound gains within your personal development.
Yes. There's this quote that says, I forgot who it was by, but it is, you don't have to see the entire staircase, you just have to take the first step. And honestly, that's like one of the greatest things anyone could have ever said. You just have to take the first step. That's it. Once you've taken the first step, bro, I'm telling you.
Just
like,
take the next step, take the next step.
You just keep going, because that's all you realize, that you don't have to do all of this. You just have to do this one thing. And once you're done with that, you just have to do this other one thing. So it's just one that you keep doing. So like, let's say you have to climb 50, right? But the way you see it is doing one and being done with that one, and you're done. And then now you have to just do another one. Rather than saying that, oh, you have to do 50 and I've done just 2 and like I have like 48 to go, right? It's all about perspective. And that's why I say start small and just keep it small. That's all you have to do. You don't have to go big. Yeah.
That brings up a really good story that when I heard it, I was blown away. It was there was two men. One had a blindfold, one didn't, and their goal was a competition. The first one to chop down the tree with an axe would win the competition, and they start. The one guy with the blindfold is hacking away at the tree. The other guy with without the blindfold is doing the same thing, and they're getting along. And halfway, they're both at the same mark, but at that point, the guy without the blindfold starts to peek over, starts to look at the other guy, and starts to see like, wow, I have a lot left, and he's still going. Meanwhile, the guy with the blindfold doesn't really know where he is. He can just feel the pivot or the divot in the tree, and he just keeps hacking away. He's just so laser focused and not listening to anything around him or hearing anything around him. And in the end, obviously, you can guess the guy with the blindfold does win.
Yeah.
But that goes back to what you were saying, just every day, every second, just hacking away at that tree, hacking away at your goal, and in the end, it'll be the greatest thing that ever happened to you.
Exactly.
So don't be the guy without the blindfold.
One thing I got from the story was the fact that he was blindfolded. And that's what every one of us needs to do. We need to cut out distractions. Sometimes you look around you and you see all these people doing all these amazing things, and then you begin to feel like, oh, damn, like, my life isn't worth anything. But you just need to focus on what it is you want to do. Ignore the progress everyone else is making and just focus on you. If you want to draw, focus on drawing. If you can start with stick figures, do stick figures. Do it like every day, and then grow from there, because seeing other people make it in life can be depressing sometimes. And that doesn't go to say like, those people don't deserve to make it in life, but it just makes you think about, like, and it goes back to like everyone being the same. Like, we're all the same at our base. There's nothing that separates one human being from the other except for experience. And so if you can realize that, and you know that whatever it is that person is doing, you're equally capable of that, then all that you need to do is to sit down, focus, cut out distractions, and do what it is that you want to do.
Yeah, and that's a perfect leeway into something I wanted to talk about. Not only are we genetically 99.9% the same as humans, you touched on how we all have the ability, we all are the same, we all have the ability to be different through our experience, but we all have the ability to be different with our perspective.
Yeah.
So you can look at one thing and be extremely depressed by it, but another person can take that and use it as like one of the greatest moments of catapulting their life.
Yeah.
And just go from there. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on as well is it's great to have a blueprint and look at people who have been successful and done great things, but you need to carve your own path in life.
Yeah.
And times you need to really subdue other people. You really need to just focus on yourself, and it's not being selfish at all.
At all.
It's just, in the end, if you improve yourself, you're going to make way more of an impact on other people than if you looked around and try to improve yourself by looking at other people. In a sense, you got to start within.
Mm-hmm. One thing that's really important is that we need to think about the kind of thoughts that we are thinking. Like, consistently, we need to think about what we're thinking about, because what you're thinking about is where your focus lies. And so many people, I'm even a prime example of that, so many people have thoughts that are so powerful that they begin to limit them. And we need to go into our minds and really think about what we're thinking about so that we can change that. Because, like, I know for sure that we are all equal, right? But let's say I'm not too good at public speaking, and I've been given the opportunity to speak, and I'm really nervous because I've never done this kind of thing before. Stuff like that, I just become really anxious, and it's because in my mind somewhere I've planted a seed where I feel like this isn't for me, and so I need to go back into my thoughts and really think about why I think this isn't for me. And once I begin to do that, I will realize that it doesn't make any sense. Like, we're the same. He just has more experience than I do. But if I do have the same experience, I could be doing exactly what he's doing. So what's really limiting me? What's limiting me is my thoughts. And that goes a long way to say that all your dreams are achievable. You just have to really think about what it is that you're thinking about. Because in the gym, let's say you plan to go an hour cardio, right? But after doing 10 minutes, you feel like, whoa, I can't do it anymore. It's because, first of all, your body's telling you that, oh, damn, like, I'm tired already.
It's more of a mental than a physical workout.
It's more of a mental than a physical workout. That's true. So, it's just your body telling you that, I can't do this anymore, but you can push past it with your thoughts. You can say that, I know I'm tired, but I'm still going to push through. And I think it applies to so many different things in life.
Yeah, I really liked how you talk about being the observer of your thoughts. I think we should constantly have a bird's eye view. I know this is a far off perspective or a thing you can imagine, but literally have a bird's eye view of your thoughts and look down at what you're thinking all the time. It might seem complicated, being a thinker of my thoughts, but it's truly a powerful thing we can all use, and a great habit to just constantly be aware what we're thinking about and be an observer of when we do go off track or we do limit ourselves. And with meditation, that's something they really emphasize. They say you want to be the observer of your thoughts and find that middle ground, the underlying theme we keep talking about, but find that middle ground and really be aware of where your thoughts are going. I also think meditation is key. Just taking that break and just being still, doing nothing is so relieving. Like, you guys have no idea. It's just so calm. And nowadays with the addiction of picking up the phone, we can be sitting down doing nothing. We'll have that urge to take out our phones for no reasons. But it's truly amazing to take some time to yourself and just be with your thoughts instead of being with other people's captions or other people's pictures or whatever it is. It doesn't have to just apply to technology. Just the power of meditation and just breathing, just focusing on the one thing that truly is important in life, because all we are breathing beings.
I remember I took a break off social media, and once I got back on, I just went straight back into addiction. So I realized that it's not so much going away as it is controlling yourself.
Exactly. As much. I know we talked about the power of technology and the resources we have, but it's not, like you said, it's not going away. It's just finding the control to where you can go away for a little bit, and then when you're on it, maximize that time and Yeah, you can use it all day, but make sure that when you're not using it, when you're focusing on other things, when you're talking to another individual, you don't have that urge to take it out. Or you don't have that sense of, I need to check my phone, I need to check my email. Just focus on the thing you're doing with 100% effort.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's, I see everything we talk about in this conversation, I see an underlying theme of all these things we talked about, and all the topics that surfaced in this episode, in this podcast. There's always an underlying theme I see to it, and especially today with balance, finding that middle ground, and having moderation in life. I would ask you, what is like one main key takeaway that you would say, that you would give to someone else from this episode?
I'll say it's mostly the focus and your thoughts. Mm-hmm. Focus on what it is you want to do, and make sure you're thinking the right way towards the goals you want to achieve. It's really just you. It's not the people around you. It's entirely up to you. Like, what do you want? Mm-hmm. What is it that you have to do to achieve what you want? What do you need to cut out? That's it. Just focus on what it is you want to do and go. That's it. Don't turn your back. Remember that you just need to take one step after the other step. Keep it small, step by step. You conquer.
Mm. And I know at the end of every episode we talk about what's your big dream and goal, but today I'm not even going to ask that. All I'm going to say for you, because I know you're going to say this if I ask you, and all I'm going to say for the listeners is, your dream big for your life right now should be the next step. Should be the next day.
That's it.
Just
it.
Conquer that next step.
That's it.
And you'll be on your way to the ultimate dream.
Yeah. And you never stop dreaming. You never stop getting goals. That's the beauty of taking it step by step. That the truth is, it's not gonna end. You're always going to need to take the next step. And so, if you keep it small and you keep it step by step, I think you're good.
And one thing before I hit the end button for this, I will say with that, our thoughts are so powerful that we can imagine and visualize and dream so many things, but they're so evil because they can also control your life, control you, and maybe even limit you.
Yeah.
So finding that middle ground, and also doing a little bit of the romantic, dreaming, anything is possible and all of that, but also making sure that you find the middle and all the things you do.
Word.
So, thank you, Fidel, for coming on again. And also, what is your new account that you're using? I know I'll highlight the main account you have, but what's the new one you have?
Thank you for reminding me. So it's Fidel Boamah at. Sorry, it's I was about to say at gmail.com. But yeah, it's on Instagram and it's at Fidel Boamah. So that's FIDEL BOAMAH. I took up photography as a hobby, so I've been posting pictures there. But that account is actually going towards, everything that I do in terms of art. So I'm gonna put up some graphic design stuff on there. I'm gonna put up some videos, some 3D modeling. Everything that I do is gonna be there. So look out for it.
Definitely pleasing visually.
Yeah.
And also, if you do want to email him, fidelboamah@gmail.com. If you ever want to partner up or talk to him, he's always available, always open for a DM, I'm sure. So that's it, folks. Thank you. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and what we are doing at Dream Big, it would mean a lot if you can become more involved with the Dream Big community. You can do so by subscribing to this podcast on any of the following podcasting platforms. We're on 8 channels, 8 different platforms. Our channel on YouTube at Dream Big & Co. And follow us on social media at Dream Big & Co. That will all be in the show notes, so you'll see that and you can get a direct link to those platforms. Most importantly, at the end of the day, we ultimately do this for you to add value to your lives. So if there's anything you like, dislike, or want changed, please rate this episode and leave a review. Like I said, it would truly mean a lot. And thank you, and have a great one.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.